Greetings and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Batman. In today's episode, we are going to make the cheesy chicken tortellini with creamy tomato basil sauce. Now, you won't need these, so let's put them aside. That's going to be our done pile, okay? Bam, that's the rest of everything that's going to happen. Now, we have a multitude of items to work with here, so we have to get started on our heat. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some oil. We're going to put some oil in this pan. There we go. Spread it around. Bam. And we're going to put that onto medium heat. Medium. Next, we're going to take some salt. We're going to salt a small pot of water. That's going to be used for blanching our tomatoes. And we can also salt the big pot of water right now too. Bam. Salt is now in the out pile. So, we're going to start both of these pots. They're both going, everything's heating up. The first item that we have is our chicken. Recognize this? Chicken thighs. As you may have noticed, I am a big fan of chicken thighs. Dark meat is my favorite meat. It's the best part of the chicken. So, we're going to take our large knife, and always, as usual, feeling for any cartilage that may be caught in there, we're going to start to first cut it into strips, and then cut it into cubes. This is going to be the base bottom of our dish. In fact, this part of the dish, you might even call it a surprise. A lot of people are not even going to know it exists until they bite into it. Perfect for vegetarians, I say. Serve a vegetarian this dish. Watch them scream. Lots of fun. Oh yeah. We didn't even wash them. We didn't even wash our hands, but that's okay because we're going to wash them when we're done with the meat. We have more important things to wash our hands for, such as the grating of the cheese and the slicing of the tomato. Things that matter. Things that people might actually notice. Shh, I didn't tell you that. Okay, cube that, these two. I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a lot more meat here than I used, for example, the chicken Caesar. We need more meat because we're making a very large quantity. This is going to be a romantic dinner. And you can eat the leftovers too. Everyone loves leftovers. Well, some of us more than others. Robin's not allowed to have leftovers. I think that's why she's always trying to sneak them. The forbidden fruit is always the more tempting. That's a proverb I made up. But it's accurate. And I'm sure someone else has quoted that at some point in very much the same way. So as you can see, we're developing quite the pile of chicken cubes. By the time I'm done with these, my oil should be fairly hot. Maybe not at the optimal temperature, but we're still going to dump the chicken in there anyways. There we go. A little piece right there, that's okay. 2 more pieces to go. Now, remember, when I say cubes, I just mean cube it. Just make it small. We're not talking about perfect cubes. Nobody's going to see this part of the dish, but they are going to feel the consistency with their forks. So those 2 are going to go away because they're just a piece of cartilage or something bony, whatever it is. Voila! Oh, I feel something here too. Another little piece. See that? See that? That's a hard piece of cartilage. When they're this large, they're a little bit easier to extract as well. There you are. There. Scoop that one too. And that one. Oh, Okay, so we're going to get rid of that knife. We don't need that anymore, but it's not going to go into the disposal area because it's contaminated. Like this. And this. Welcome to Cooking with Batman. Time to wash our hands, right? Am I right, everyone? One hand washes the other. Be sure to get it in between your fingers. That's where all the grime hides. So we have lots to prepare while waiting for our water to boil, in which we're going to blanch our tomatoes. Get rid of that as well. So here are the tomatoes that we're going to be blanching. They're on their stem, their viney thing. Just going to pull them off of the vine. There we go. Don't leave any stem on them. Just makes it more annoying later when you're trying to peel them. There we go. Throw that in the corner. We're going to take another knife and we're going to just break the skin. Break the skin about 1/3 of the way around on each. So 3 different directions. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I should also add that you need a cold bowl of water standing by right now, because after you've blanched a tomato, obviously you need to cool it off. I have pre-prepared my cold bowl of water. You might want to do the same. There we go. Now we have a couple of spice mixtures that we're going to be working on next. We're going to work on the spice mixture for both the chicken and for the creamy tomato basil sauce. So there's our tomatoes. They're all ready for blanching. And we're going to take a bowl and we're going to put in, there we go, a little bit of sugar there. We actually don't need any more sugar, so I can punch that. And we're going to take some paprika. I know you guys already knew about that, but we're going to take some paprika. Oh, that's a little much, but that's okay. It's paprika, and you can't go wrong with paprika. There we go. Mix that around. We're going to be putting in some poultry seasoning. We don't need that anymore. Only a tiny, tiny amount of garlic powder. We want the chicken to have some garlic taste, but it's actually going to be the creamy tomato basil sauce, which has the garlic flavor. So we're going to put in some garlic in both bowls. Next up we have basil. Now this is creamy tomato basil sauce, therefore we're going to put quite a bit of basil. We're just going to, there, pack it in. Back it in, back it in. Only in the one bowl. Next we're going to put some oregano. Not nearly as much as the basil, probably about 1/3 as much. Some parsley. It's virtually flavorless, so it really doesn't matter. It's more for color. It's bright green, but you've all heard me say that before. Okay. And we're going to take some oil. Go. And we're now done with the oil. Actually, no, we're not. Let's add a bit more to this chicken. There we go. And we're going to grab the other tools that we didn't necessarily grab before. So, grater, one of these. Flatten out our chicken a little bit here. We're going to take our little mix of spices and dump it on there. We don't need it anymore. Gone. Mix this in. As you can see, mixing around our smaller portions of chicken here. Just mix it in. Keep mixing. Should be an even blend of colors when you're done. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but if you're interested in replacing your chicken spice with something, it's mostly sage. Just use sage. Okay, so we're going to take our tomatoes, 2 at a time. Do not overdo this. Plunk into the water. Plunk into the water. Hard boiling water. We're going to grab our salad bowl full of cold water. And we're going to grab the first tomato that we dunked in. Place it in the bowl. We're going to grab the second tomato that we put in. Put it in the bowl. Place the bowl over here. 2 more go in. 1, 2. Because if they're in there too long, then you're going to start getting the juices from the center of the tomato running out. And we don't want that. We don't want to peel off the skin and the juices. We don't want it leaking everywhere. We just want to get the skin off. Rotate. Make sure that they get the heat everywhere. Alright. And this one. Next, last tomato goes in. Alright, let's go take it out. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Even now, my water is ever so slightly turning red. I'm going to take this pot of water. I'm going to dump it out. Very specifically, I need this pot again. Put it on the back. Tongs go to the point where I don't need them anymore. We're going to grab our tomatoes, and look at this. Look at this. Skins are coming right off. Now, I'm not fancy that way, but if you really want to, you can actually use these skins as a garnish. But that all depends on who you're serving. Some people don't realize what garnish is, and it will get eaten. Don't make the mistake of feeding somebody garnish. It's embarrassing for you as well because they think that you're a bad cook as they're eating it to be polite. It's overall just a really, really bad situation. Okay. Oh, this one needs an extra little slice of a head start. There we go. Peel that off. And of course, I haven't said it, but I've shown you, I am cutting off the ends of the tomato. You don't want that. They're a little bit harder than the rest. Even after being mixed properly, it's going to be a little bit too hard. Okay. This one actually could have used an extra 5 seconds of blanching, but that's okay because it still works. Still works. Get that core right out of there. Now tomatoes are really cheap, so don't worry about wasting any, just make it work. Cut it off. Take this one. So skins are not the best consistency when you're trying to make a sauce, which is why we're removing them. I know a lot of people like the skin or eat the skin or don't care about the skin. In this case, I do. I do, and you should too, because right now you are quite literally preparing a fancy meal. And remember, the more things that people notice about your meal, the more satisfied it will feel for you. So, cut off this end, and cut off this end, right there, yeah. Cut that off. And this one blanched really well. Oops. It falls to the counter. That's okay. That's okay. You still have to wipe off the counter eventually anyway. So, there we have it. We have the base ingredients for our creamy tomato basil sauce. We're going to give ourselves a rinse. And mix our chicken. Because once we start, we can't really take breaks, right? So, mix around that chicken a little bit. And we're going to take our big pot of water and we're going to set it on high heat. That's going to prep that to start boiling very, very soon. Take this, put it over here, pull out this over here. We don't need this. Get rid of it permanently. And we're going to take our tabby mixer and we're going to lower this down. And we're going to add the cream slowly. Okay, let it grind things up. So let's lower this down. Alright, there we go. Come on, dice those up. And we're going to put about half of this container in. No, maybe a third. You have to eyeball these things. You can always add more if you have to. So at this point, I'm not going to add any more ingredients, but since the tabby mixer is a little bit loud, I'll be back in a flash. And welcome back. So obviously, it's a mixer, so it does everything for me. It's only been a couple of minutes. I didn't add any more ingredients. My water still hasn't started to boil, and I've stirred the chicken once while it was mixing. So, now, the next thing that we have to do here is remember that small pot that we had? Well, we're going to take this. Don't worry. Do not worry about it at all. Right now, you're going to have lumps and chunks and everything into it. We're just going to take this pot and we're going to simmer it down. This is going to be a low heat. Low or even simmering heat. There we go. Actually, we don't need this anymore. Well, come on, just in case. Put this here, put it in the back corner, and send it to low or simmer. And that's going to be cooking for the rest of this. The rest of what's going on, it's going to be there. It's going to be there doing its thing. So the next item that we have up is we're going to at least free up our tortellini. There we go. Don't skip out on the tortellini. You don't have to get top of the line. But get nice tortellinis. Okay, these are 3 cheese tortellinis. 3 cheese is good. Meat tortellini is a little overkill because you have chicken, so I do suggest the cheesy tortellini as the title implies. And comes in a couple of different crates here. I'm just gonna consolidate these. There we go. There we go. And these tortellinis, you're just going to leave them. Leave them until the water boils. We're going to be making about half of this. And the other half is going to be used for future consumption. Use whatever sauce you want. But we only actually need half. In fact, we have time. We're going to quantify this right now. That's why it's nice to dish out your plate a little bit. Same thing with the chicken. We won't necessarily use it all, but we might. Okay? It's always good to have too much and not enough when you're going to be doing something with stacks involved. Alright, we're going to open up this. This is an instant garlic bread. It's a no-brainer, so yeah, don't worry about it. And then we're going to preheat our oven onto broil. Okay, so I set it to low broil. Those are the only options, high and low. I set it to low broil. I will set it to high broil when I need the final flavor crisp on top. Okay, we've got this. We can stir the chicken. Now I'm just going to give you a little bit of a view of this chicken right here. As you can see, it's getting some nice color in there. Everything's good. See, it looks a lot like the other chickens that I've made, except they're just smaller. Apply it back right onto our medium heat. Hasn't moved the whole time. Let me see. Take out the future ingredients that we're going to need. We're going to take out this. So I do suggest using mozzarella cheese for this, but if you or your lady friend have a very specific preference, go ahead and use that. Don't skip out of the cheese. Don't skip out of the fat in the cheese. It should be full flavor cheese whatever you do. Okay, let's fold this over. Take this. Grab ourselves a grating plate, or a grate as I might call it. I make myself laugh a little too often, actually. It's scary how often I make myself kind of laugh. once again, I'm probably making way too much. There's no way I'm going to need an entire brick. But we're going to grate it anyways because we can just freeze it. We can freeze it and use it for something in the future. Whether we want to sprinkle it on some man chow or just eat it straight out of a dish, use it as a dog treat, make a poutine, whatever, sky's the limit. You can melt it into just about any everyday food. Hell, I melt cheese right into my soup sometimes. So. There we go. So obviously there's more than enough right there. Keep going. Going. Check on that water. Water is not at a hard boil yet. Oh yes. It's getting there. Again, this is another one of the recipes where you can afford to get a little bit of blood in your cheese. In this case, we're still trying not to, but if you do, that's okay. It's not the end of the world to get blood in your cheese because there's tomato basil sauce around, and you can drizzle some on top when you're done if you get any blood in there. So, I guess if you don't want to get blood in your cheese and you're adamant about it, just buy a cheap cheese grater because they have a hard time cutting anything, including the cheese. Hey, that is a hard boil, everyone. I've quantized my tortellini. Tortellini goes in. Take note of the time. That's going to take about 8 minutes, and we're expected to do a cut pretty soon too. Do not get rid of this plate. This plate is going to be your plating bowl type thing. So, this, save that for later. That's your snack. That's your snacky bowl. We're going to take our garlic bread out. Get rid of this and this. Throw it into the crap corner. And pull out a fork. Make sure that all of your tortellinis are properly submerged. There we go. We now have 3 things on the stove. They all need to be maintained. Chicken. Chicken. There we go. So, since we have sauce for the chicken, this will be one of the few times that you actually see me draining my grease. I'm quite literally going to drain the grease from my chicken, or at least avoid the grease for the chicken when I'm plating this, because the sauce needs to do the work for me. Speaking of the sauce, we need another fork. We're just going to stir this in the back here. Oh yeah. And taking a look at my sauce, everyone. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. This does not have the consistency that I'm looking for. Oh no. We need more basil. We need some green in there. You can add parsley too if you want. So, let's green up that sauce. And let's flavor up that sauce. So that was parsley, and this is basil. There we go. And what we're going to do, bring that over here. Okay, no, let's bring it over here so you can all see. Just going to stir this in. Now, if you want to be really sneaky and you have it around, use some red food coloring. And you'd be surprised at how easily the mind is tricked into thinking something tastes better than it does, simply because of the color. Take, for example, purple and green ketchup. Ketchups that are readily available, but there are people that won't touch it. It tastes exactly the same. The only difference in the ingredients, the color. Food for thought. That was a chef's pun. Food for thought. So, I'm going to turn my meat down to low heat, and I will see you guys when the tortellinis are done. Tortellini's done, everyone. So, what you're going to want to do is you're going to grab your tortellini and you're going to strain it. Drain your tortellini before you drain your chicken. I'm serious. Okay. Tortellini back in the pot. Unless you use 2 strainers. You can use 2 strainers if you want. Okay. Next we're going to turn up our tomato basil sauce up a little bit. We're going to turn off our chicken. And put this aside. Have you ever put chicken in a strainer before? I have. I wish I could show you exactly what's coming out of here. I assure you, it's a lot of grease. Remember all the oil that we put in at the start? We're getting rid of it. Okay. Here's your chicken. Looks like we have about the right amount. There we go. So, bam! Look at that, we have our first layer done. Next layer, we're going to put some of the tomato basil sauce, but only very, very tiny amount. Turn off that stove that we had just firstly turned off a moment ago. Stir this around. A little bit runny. Ideally, it would be a little bit thicker, but you have to think about the timing on these things. And when it doesn't work out, don't worry about it. It's going to thicken up when we put it in the oven. And we're going to hide the mess anyways. In fact, it's a little bit runny. Let's thicken it. There we go. A little more of this. A little bit of Parmesan. There are ways around just about anything. If you find something's not going right, improvise! There we go. So now you know that if your sauce is too runny, all you have to do is add some Parmesan cheese and it thickens it right up. Next up, we have our tortellini noodles. And they're pretty well measured out for quantity already. And this has to be even. We have to manually fix this. They're hot, but my manly hands can take it. So don't you worry. A little bit of spot there. There. There we go. Next up, we're going to add quite a lot of the tomato basil sauce. In fact, we're going to add all of it. Yep, we have the right amount. We did good. We did really good on our measurements today. This is not bad at all. Okay. There's our tomato basil sauce. As we said, it's a little bit runny. So we take some Parmesan. That's going to absorb some of the runniness. And then we're going to take a big handful of this. I need you to cover the edges, okay? This, if you do it right, is going to send an aroma that makes everybody hungry, or that one special person hungry, and it's going to be running and crispy right over the edge of the plate. We're going to see if we can accomplish exactly what we want to, simply because we desire to. Oh yeah. Look at this. It doesn't have to go over everywhere. We want it to have some black cheese on the edge. It shows everyone that you've broiled it. That is your proof that you've added a flavor crisp to the top of your meal. And a sprinkle of pepper. Take this, we're going to put it into the oven. Now, you're not supposed to broil a garlic bread. In this case, we want everything ready at the same time. We have to, unless you have 2 ovens. Now, we're going to turn up the broil to high. Turn on the internal light and start watching. okay? So I'm gonna turn around and watch them, and I'm gonna go watch. And that's it. It's right at the dark brown stage where I have no time. Turn that off. I have just enough time to tell you that I need to take it out. Put on a glove, and put on a glove, and take this, put it here. Careful, it's hot. It's hot. Careful. Oh, it's beautiful. It smells beautiful. Now we're going to take out our garlic bread as well. Put it right there. Oh, we've done good. We have done good. Take off one glove, not two. Next, we're going to cut our garlic bread in two. Okay. And when that happens, just ignore it. Just ignore it. It's all part of the plan. And can you grab your Basil? And we're gonna rub that. Oh yeah. There is nothing like a flavor crisp that sets off the fire alarm. One done. You can take the other one. That's why we kept one glove on, by the way, because it's hot. There we go. Fold everything up. Exactly as it is, this is how it must be served. Candles on either side, dinner plates empty, fork and a knife already set. Bring it over, cause you are going to get laid tonight. Your romantic dinner is served. Oh, Catwoman!